what are like 3 habits that you recommend for every father to have in their life?
Oof. 3 habits for every father to have in their life. Man, that's a good question. I think, well, one, I would say build a marriage where you love your wife. Because I think if you have a great marriage and you're happy, you're gonna love your kids, and your kids are gonna love you, and they're gonna have a more stable environment. So the downstream of that is marriage. So I'd say, one, do what you need to do to cultivate a strong, healthy marriage, first and foremost. I'd say 2, pray and read to your kids. Pray for your kids, read to your kids. Pray for my kids every night. And I've been reading my son and my daughter the Bible. And I think there's something in reading to them and praying with them. And then the last, I would say, figure out ways to be interested in whatever they're interested in.
So go on their level.
Yeah, go on their level. What are they into? Right? So my 7-month-old is learning to crawl. So I'm on the ground, on the floor, crawling and playing with him. My 11-year-old is into video games. I don't like Minecraft, but I'm going to pretend I like Minecraft, and I'll play Minecraft with him. My 5-year-old's into dance and gymnastics. So I went to her dress rehearsal yesterday and, just cheering her on and celebrating her and giving her very particular encouragement and acknowledgement of the things she's doing. So love your wife, build and cultivate a good marriage, read and pray for your kids, pray for your kids and read to them, and then be into the things that they're into. Nice. If you could you need to make time to be passionate about whatever they're passionate about. And I think that's the easiest way.
Yeah. I like that you mentioned first have a good marriage.
Yeah.
Though it doesn't sound like a father thing, but that impacts how they see marriage and how they see how to treat a girl, how to treat a woman, and vice versa. Like a good marriage, how does a woman treat the husband and stuff like that. So I like how you mentioned that, when you think about father, no one thinks about the marriage. They always think about like what to do for the kids. Mm-hmm. But I think that was pretty cool, pretty powerful. And then how do you have a good marriage?
I'm not the expert on this, man. How do you have a good marriage? Well, one, you have a good marriage by first marrying the right person. And I think that could alleviate a lot of the headache. And a lot of people are trying to do missionary dating and, just jumping out the window and being yoked up with folks they have no business yoked up with. So I think, one, you got to marry the right person. 2, I think you need to marry someone that you can laugh with, that's not going to take themselves too seriously, and you're not going to take yourself too seriously. So I think there's a degree of like, are you able to have a good time with the person? 3, I think you need to have a relationship with regards to communication. Are you able to communicate the seasons of life you're in, the expectations of the seasons of your life you're in? What help do you need in the seasons of life you're in? A lot of people just don't communicate. And so then there becomes expectations. Those expectations are unmet. That leads to frustration. Frustration leads to resentment. And now you're having a hard time, right? So, but if you're communicating, hey, wife, you're pregnant right now. I got this book coming out 2 months before the baby comes. I'm gonna go hit it really hard and travel a bunch. But once the baby's here, I'm home and I'm not going anywhere for 3 months. I'm not traveling. And that's what I did, right? And now it's starting to pick up again. And it's a bit more sporadic. I'll go out 1 day a week, or really 2 days a month, but I'll be gone. Like I was gone last weekend for 1 sleep. We call them sleeps.
Yeah.
1 sleep, and then I'll be gone this weekend, 1 sleep, and then I don't got anything until like July, and then I'm taking my son on 2 father-son trips. So we're just communicating that, hey, and then I got this thing coming up.
That's cool.
I also think being into whatever that person is into. So like my wife does our kids choir, and I love the kids choir, and I celebrate the kids choir, and I promote the kids choir, and I make sure that the kids choir is well represented within our church, and that our church is behind the kids choir, and that I'm leveraging my influence to make sure they're good and they're taken care of. My relationships, whether it's getting a sound guy down here, whether it's making sure we make upgrades to microphones, like whatever I have, I'm going to do whatever she's into. And so that way she's not just like serving my entire thing on YouTube, but I'm actually like, no. What she does is important. And I think there needs to be some distinction of like, you got to have your thing. She should, not you got to, but it's good when people have separate lives and separate hobbies and separate passions. And we've always had those. Like we've always had, she's always had good friends. I've always had good friends, right? We've always had separate passions. So her thing is kids choir.
So basically, you recommend the marriage couple to have each their own thing and their own friends kind of thing? Is that what you said?
I don't want to speak with this in absolutist
Not
terms,
certainty, but like,
right? In certainty. But yeah, I think it's good if someone has friends. like you should have friends. You should have your group of dudes that like can hold you accountable and call you out. Like all your friends shouldn't just be her friends, and her friends shouldn't be your friends, right? Like there should be. Now again, there's gonna be couples but I think generally speaking, you should have your crew of guys that you've had around, and she as well, and then when we come together, and her friends' husbands are my friends as well, right? And sometimes we're closer, sometimes we're not closer, right? But I think different worlds that then converge and come together, I think are healthy. I'm not saying you have to or it's absolute, but I think it's
a good habit. It's a good thing to have. Cool. And then, we can wrap it up here, but you've been through some trauma. Like, how do you deal with trauma in a Christian worldview?
That's a good question. How do you deal with trauma in a Christian worldview? Well, one, I think we go back to scripture, right? Romans 8:28, which I think is huge for many of us. I'll just read it to us. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So we know that in all things, even the traumatic aspects of my life, even the pain, even the suffering, God works for the good of those who love him. I got to ask myself, do I love him? And have I been called according to his purpose? Right? Not calling God according to my purpose. God, I want to be a famous Christian rapper, bless my thing. But no, God, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And if I'm called according to his purpose and I love him, then I can hold on to this promise that all things God is working for my good. Even the things that are uncomfortable, even the things that are frustrating, even the things that are terrible, right? And so I hold on to that. And I think that's a pattern and a motif you see all throughout scripture, right? As early as Abraham to Joseph, like you see this redemptive work of like the things that people mean for evil, God uses for good.
Yeah.
And so I hold on to that and I believe that. So one, I think it's like a mindset thing. I think also like you live life and you live long and you go, man, those things that sucked at the time, that breakup you had, that was like so soul crushing. Well, man, it made me wiser. It made me smarter. It made me avoid that pattern in women moving forward. And it made me choose a more godly spouse that I wasn't just chasing external beauty metrics. I was chasing a godly woman. Man, I wouldn't have learned that lesson had I not went through a terrible breakup, right? So you just start seeing the world in that way. Now, that obviously there's like stuff like cancer and just like terrible tragedies that are inexplainable, and I don't have the answers for those things, But I do think Jesus does. Like I do think Jesus can relate to our suffering because he suffered the ultimate death and conquered death, through the cross and resurrected, and that you hold out for that future resurrection. So if there's something that's happened and it's, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening, what are we going to do? It's like, well, no, there's a future resurrection coming that I think will set all things back into the way they were designed to be.
And any practical things you would recommend for someone, like, let's just say a Christian dealing with trauma and that trauma keeps triggering sin, a sinful lifestyle. So what are practical things that someone can do to like, not like beat trauma, but like kind of like, help them conquer sin because that trauma is the one that triggers it?
I think I can't speak with certainty for all this, but I think the easiest thing for me has been finding that one thing to latch onto, that one healthy, godly habit to latch onto that then sets the rest of my day, week, and year in order. And I think if you're dealing with trauma, often you need to practice the law of replacement. You need to, okay, yes, I have trauma. Yes, that trauma is causing me to sin and act in a way that's counterintuitive, not just to God's laws and God's ways, but counterintuitive to my own development and my own flourishing. And I gotta stop that. Okay, how do I stop it? Well, you first gotta acknowledge you got a problem. Then you gotta figure out what's the root of the problem. Then you gotta go and pull the weeds of the problem out, meaning get to the root of it. This can be done in confession. This can be done in therapy or counseling. But then you gotta find better things to do with that habit, right? So like here's an example. If I struggle looking at things I shouldn't be looking at night, how do you fix that? Okay, well, you can force yourself to wake up earlier and get your butt to the gym earlier. And now you're not going to stay up as late, so you're going to go to bed at the same time.
It's hard.
Or you go take a nightly walk and get your steps. Either of those replace the idle time of doom scrolling on your phone, seeing something that triggers you and go look, right? It replaces that with something more productive.
Mm-hmm.
You having trouble fall asleep? Okay, try reading the Bible.
Yeah.
Read the scriptures. And so I think those are like three different options, right? Hey, one, you can just go to bed earlier, wake up earlier, go do something productive in the morning. Two, you can say, oh, I'm gonna go on a walk. Everybody goes to bed. I'm naturally a night owl. Okay, I'm not just gonna sit and doom scroll. I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna go on a walk. And then, I think it's very difficult to like think about destructive things when you're doing productive things.
Sure.
Like it's difficult to be like, I'm gonna go and indulge in this sinful pattern.
Not being idle.
By not being idle. That's right. I look how that full circle conversation came around. Yeah, so I think being productive and healthy, which really, to use the metaphor, you pull out the weeds, you plant gardens. You got to plant better gardens. And those gardens should be keystone habits that build on top of each other, anchors in your life, right? The idea of a keystone habit or a cornerstone habit. And then Jesus is the cornerstone that the builders rejected, but that's the stone that God built everything on. There's those functional things in our day-to-day life. What are those keystone cornerstone habits? This is from the book Power of Habit, which everyone should read. It's a really good book. Or Atomic Habits. I don't know if Atomic Habits talks about keystone habits, but yeah, you anchor your life on good things, better things, beautiful things, and the more you anchor your life on those things, the easier it'll get.